What deadly sin best represents each stick in the color gang? Because this is obligatory in every fandom for some reason and I'm kind of bored. For lust, we have no. Green best reflects the sin of pride, known for immense satisfaction for their achievements, which borders on excessive preservation of it to the detriment of others. We best see this in how he used to take excessively obsessive care of his image online to the point that he was willing to hurt his friends for vainglory. He also has a very high inclination to preserving his self-image, but of course, he isn't opposed to apologizing when he realizes how grave the situation really is. Green's self-confidence also helps him be the natural leader of the team and is the one that pulls people up when they don't feel proud of themselves. Blue embodies gluttony because he cannot pay me enough to say otherwise, considering his proclivity to gambling, drinking himself into unconsciousness, and his nether wart addiction not only sending him to the nether, but also seemingly being uncontrollable to the point he willingly threw away his own hesitation towards King Orange and became a zombie. Yeah, I'm placing Yellow in envy because of his track record in competitions, as well as his proclivity to actually PvP a lot of the characters. When in competitions, not only does he show a lack of sportsmanship for his other sticks, he also does actively try to bend things to his favor. But that's never to say that Yellow is actively hostile towards anyone to the point of actually being pissed off at them. Just pretty salty. That being said, Yellow also loves involving his friends in his antics and is very much willing to back them up when things really matter. Orange is going into wrath because he's the one that usually has the worst crash outs regardless of validity, note blocks at 3 AM. We've seen him get very violent when his friends are hurt, but we've also seen him lose control of his own anger even during supposedly for fun moments. He has a tendency to go for dealing as much damage as possible when stressed. He's gotten better control of this though throughout the series. That leaves Purple with greed. He's had a lot of undertones of wanting power, love, and respect for the sake of reaching an arbitrary sense of worth. That's exemplified with how he wanted power from the Minecraft block, and his own selfish desires with the Ender Dragon. But the great part of this is that he's learned from his past transgressions and even understood that power, when misused, is at best boring and at worst life-threatening. Red's the only one that I can't really pin a sin on because besides his sheer carelessness, he doesn't really reflect any of the 7 sins as strongly as the other characters. The best sin for him in this case is Sloth. Definition-wise, there's 2 sides to Sloth: inactivity and apathy. Red fits well on the second definition, a lack of general care by the consequences of his or even the other sticks' actions, fueled by his curiosity and impulsivity. And even that's kind of a stretch. That just shows that Red is a good lad. Subscribe for more Becker analysis. I did a short in the sins, now it's time for the cardinal virtues. Yellow exemplifies diligence in the way that he's always dedicated to his craft with an absolute passion. Diligence is the belief of action and work being good in life, and that idleness brings perpetual despair. And Yellow exemplifies passion and dedication to the team, even making his own roller coaster, racing track, and an entire magic show with command blocks. Yellow is also usually the instigator when it comes to things. Kindness is best exemplified in Red, shown in his acts of generosity, support, and concern for others. We know how much he loves his animals and cares for them deeply, but we also see how willing he is to protect his friends from danger, usually being the first one to run with an enemy. He's also kind to those that even wronged him, even if it is to ask for help. Temperance is defined as restraint and moderation, which I think works well very ironically with Orange. Despite his crash outs, he also has moments where he pulls himself together. He's also the group limiter, making sure that others don't go overboard with their more reckless antics, and practices scrutiny the most out of everyone else in the group, usually when he thinks something's dangerous. But there's a difference between temperance and patience, which I'm putting for Blue. The cardinal virtue of patience has 2 definitions: the ability to endure long circumstances and tolerance in the face of provocation, and the ability to judge circumstances based not on malice but on kindness. Symbolically, I think patience for Blue is a multifaceted journey instead of a 1:1. Blue tries to stay as pacifistic in a situation if he thinks that the opposing party isn't downright malicious. But patience also manifested with how he tried to pacify Green in PvP and how he forgave Purple for what happened in the nether the first time. Of course, patience doesn't equate to passivity or putting down emotions like stress or rage. It also includes being able to act accordingly and regulate your actions in response to them. Green embodies the cardinal virtue of charity, which is known as the innate love of man. Charity can be both immaterial and material, and Green best exemplifies this in his acts of service. One great example of this is when he gives unconditional forgiveness to Purple, who had, at this point, betrayed him thrice. Green also has a strong sense of concern for others, making sure that the others feel safe and secure during their excursions. And last but not least, Purple, and in some extension King Orange, inhibit the virtue of humility, the acceptance of one's flaws and a dedication to living a new life of modesty and groundedness, and humility is not the same as shame. Humility is the acceptance that you can still sin. Now, he simply enjoys hanging out with his friends, even to the point of being mildly uncomfortable when they deal with problems with sheer power. What's important about both of these shorts is I want to show you that if you can write a list of flaws for a character, and you can still have a list of wins for them, then you've written them well. Subscribe for more Alan Becker analysis. Did you notice these details in Alan Becker's Animation vs. Minecraft? In the real-time episode, we get a lot more information of what happened while the sticks were trapped in the demiplanes. Red is the first one to enter, but the last one to leave. Blue spends majority of his time inside trying to negotiate, but when he's finally fed up, he's the one that leaves the fastest with little to no trouble compared to everyone else. Yellow struggles the most against his piglin by constantly being overpowered, grabbed, or physically stopped by the brute. And Orange is the first one to draw a weapon against the piglin and was the first one to leave. Also, there's an entire bonus scene of two piglins watching the surveillance footage, except they weren't paying attention when Green was escaping. Instead, the piglin that was supposed to watch Green was lazing around and actually sneezes too hard into his fellow piglin, who gets mad and starts chastising him for not covering his mouth. This leads to them fighting and for them to not realize that Green already broke through the obsidian barrier. I did a full breakdown here if you want to catch all the other little details because there are so many. Subscribe for more Alan Becker analysis. Did you notice these details in Alan Becker's Animation vs. Minecraft? Specifically, Green's journey with nether warts coming full circle. It's a lot of subtle details going through multiple episodes culminating in one hilarious climax. Green's first interaction with nether warts is in Command Block when he denies Blue's sharing with him. The second is in Witch, where he disapproves of Blue going through all the trouble of getting the nether warts. The third is when he's finally fed up with it and straight up smacks it out of Blue's hands. Either he's annoyed by all the eating, or the nether warts, or both. The fourth one is kind of resigned exhaustion, where he just tells his comments that they've kind of just accepted Blue's addiction. The fifth is in AvM 37, where he finally tries it out for himself and he gets hurt eating it. Headcanons aside on why Green got hurt, this probably means that either Blue has very high tolerance, or this thing shouldn't actually be eaten in the first place. Blue's just kind of built different. Subscribe for more Alan Becker analysis. Red and Purple's friendship is one of the best parts of Purple's character arc, particularly because it's so subtle throughout the series compared to Purple's friendship with Green until the prank. While Green focuses on sentimentality and reformation, Red's friendship with Purple is special because it's mostly good vibes. Story-wise, Red was one of the primary fights that Purple had during his villain arc, but we see in the Noteblock universe that Red also called out to Purple, which snapped him out of his stupor after falling. In The King, we see that Purple does care for Red when he catches him during the Herobrine attack and makes sure that he's okay. Purple was also the one to redirect Orange's attention to Red's unconscious body, and we see him get upset when Red's either dying or unconscious. Red also checks up on him after he revives from the white light. Red was also the last one to hesitate during the parkour and was the one who called out to the others when he saw Purple get visibly upset at his plan of murder not working. And when Red gets even the slightest go signal from the others, Red is super enthusiastic to run after Purple, and the two are absolutely adorable together. Personality-wise though, they're both pretty similar. Both of them have a strong sense of admiration for the people around them, and their more jovial traits really match their energy together super well. In the recent art for the Animation vs. Games character popularity poll, you can see them hanging around and doing their usual cool guy poses. They're both enthusiastic sticks that are willing to go along with whatever they find fun or interesting, usually latching on to others. I don't know, I think they're just both good vibes. I did a short this week on the sticks' panic responses, but I wanted to go over more on one of them in particular, specifically Red. Because while I was going through old videos, I noticed that red's the stick that's most likely to turn to other people when he's afraid, panicking, or in a situation he doesn't understand. When green accidentally sends the whole computer dark, red's clutching onto blue. He also holds back orange by accident during lush caves when he's starving, and he immediately turns to green for help when they're being attacked by the phantoms. He also usually runs to the others for a solution, especially when they're the ones causing trouble. Red's also the most likely to ask for help from others when he's at his wit's end, like how he asked purple for help pranking green. He's also one of the tamer sticks when it comes to competition, clapping for all of his friends whenever they won. But that's definitely not to say that he isn't competent when left alone, because he definitely is. He just believes that there's strength in numbers. Subscribe for more Becker analysis.